Ever wonder if you're doing better or worse than everyone else when it comes to money? Maybe you're scrolling through social media seeing people post about their latest vacation or a brand new car, and you can't help but wonder how they afford it all. Or maybe you're lying awake at night, thinking about your bank account balance, wondering if other people your age have more saved up. Here's the thing, most of us have no clue what normal actually looks like when it comes to money. I'm about to pull back the curtain on the financial reality of the average person. Some of these numbers might make you feel better about your situation, while others might be a serious wake-up call. Either way, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand compared to everyone else. And trust me, understanding these numbers is like finally getting the answer key to a test you've been taking blind. My name is The Honest Dude, and I break down money topics that actually matter. If you want to get ahead financially instead of just keeping up, make sure to subscribe. The income reality check. Let's start with the basics. When you cash your paycheck every 2 weeks, are you earning more or less than the typical worker? The median income for a full-time worker is about $52,000 per year. That's roughly $26 per hour if you're keeping track. Now, at first glance, $52,000 might sound pretty reasonable, right? It's not rich, but it's not poverty either. You could probably afford a decent apartment, maybe even save a little on the side. But here's the catch. That's before taxes. It's like seeing a restaurant menu and forgetting about the tip, tax, and service charges. After Uncle Sam takes his cut, you're looking at maybe $35,000 to $40,000 in actual take-home pay, depending on where you live. Suddenly, that decent income looks a lot less decent when you realize you've lost almost a third of it before you even see the money. You work 40 hours a week, but you're essentially working 13 hours for free just to pay taxes. Retirement savings. Let's figure this out together. Okay, so people are taking home less than they think, but surely they're making up for it by being smart with their retirement savings, right? The median amount Americans have saved for retirement is $65,000. Now, before you start feeling too good or too bad about that number, remember this includes people of all ages who actually have retirement accounts. To be fair, $65,000 sounds like a decent chunk of change. I mean, that's more than a lot of people make in a year, so having that much saved feels pretty solid. But here's where it gets interesting, and by interesting I mean terrifying. About 25% of Americans have $0 saved for retirement. Zero. They're planning to live off Social Security when they retire, which is like planning to survive on ramen noodles for the rest of your life. Let me break this down by age so we can see if this makes more sense. Under 25, less than $2,000 saved. Now, to be honest, if you're 23 and just starting your career, having $2,000 saved isn't terrible. You're probably still figuring out how to adult, and most of your money is going toward rent, groceries, and trying to convince yourself that $6 coffee is a reasonable life choice. 25 to 34. About $14,000 saved. This is where things start getting, well, let's just say concerning. These are people who've been working for several years and should be hitting their stride financially. 35 to 44, around $45,000 saved. Getting better, but still feels low when you think about how much time they have left. 65 and older, $88,000 saved, and this is where we need to have a serious conversation. $88,000 at retirement age. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, which is basically the gold standard for not running out of money, that gives you about $300 per month to live on in retirement. $300 per month. That's like one grocery trip. Think about your current monthly expenses for a second. Could you live on $300 per month? Even if you owned your house outright, that wouldn't cover utilities, food, healthcare, or that Netflix subscription. You definitely can't give up. What about Social Security? Let's be real. Since so many people are counting on Social Security to save them, let's talk about what you actually get from Uncle Sam's retirement plan. The average Social Security benefit is about $1,550 per month. That's roughly $18,600 per year. Now, $18,600 might sound workable at first. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? And if you don't have a mortgage payment, maybe you could make it work. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets really fun. This is the average payment. If you had years where you didn't work or earned very little money, your benefit could be way lower. And if you never earned much during your working years, you might be looking at a Social Security check that barely keeps the lights on. So if you're the average retiree, you're living on $18,600 from Social Security, plus maybe $3,600 from your retirement savings. That's about $22,000 per year total. Can you live on $22,000 per year? With inflation making everything more expensive every year, it's like trying to survive on a college student budget forever. how much people actually spend. Here's where this whole thing gets really interesting. The average household spends $67,000 per year. Wait, let me get this straight. People are planning to retire on $22,000 per year, but they're currently spending $67,000? That's like training for a marathon by sitting on the couch eating pizza. The math just doesn't work. Where does all that money go? Well, let's break it down. Housing. $22,600 per year. That's $1,885 per month. Now, if you live in a major city, you're probably laughing at how low that sounds. In places like San Francisco or New York, $1,885 might get you a really nice closet with a window if you're lucky. Food, $8,300 per year. That's about $690 per month to keep everyone fed. And honestly, if you're spending less than that, you've either mastered the art of extreme couponing. Transportation, $11,000 per year, nearly $1,000 a month just to get from point A to point B. That's car payments, insurance, gas, and the occasional breakdown that always happens at the worst possible time. Just those three categories eat up $42,000 of that $67,000. And we haven't even talked about healthcare, insurance, entertainment, or that weird subscription service you forgot you signed up for. The credit card disaster. Want to know why people are struggling so much financially? The average household carries over $9,000 in credit card debt. $9,000. At typical credit card interest rates, we're talking 20% or higher. That's about $1,800 per year just in interest payments. That's money literally thrown away on stuff they probably don't even remember buying. Now, to be fair, sometimes people use credit cards for genuine emergencies. Your car breaks down, you have a medical bill, life happens. I get it. But here's what kills me about that $9,000 average. A lot of it isn't from emergencies. It's from buying clothes that are still hanging in the closet with tags on, electronics that seemed essential at the time, dinners out that probably weren't even that good, and random online shopping sprees during those 2 a.m. I deserve this moments. It's like paying interest on regret. Net worth, the real financial report card. Okay, let's talk about the big picture. Net worth is basically your financial report card. What you own minus what you owe. The median net worth for American households is $122,000. That includes everything: your house, your car, your bank accounts, your collection of vintage action figures, minus all your debt. Now, $122,000 might sound pretty good at first. Like, hey, that's not bad, I'm worth 6 figures. But let's break this down by age and see if it still feels impressive. Under 35, $14,000 net worth. If you're 25 and just starting out, this isn't terrible. You're probably still paying off student loans and figuring out basic adulting. But if you're 34, we might need to have a different conversation. 35 to 44, $91,000 net worth. Getting better, and honestly, this is pretty achievable for most people with decent incomes and some basic financial discipline. 45 to 54, $168,000 net worth. Now we're talking. This feels like progress. 55 to 64, $212,000 net worth. Solid numbers, especially if you're debt-free. 65 to 74, $266,000 net worth. Not bad for retirement age. Here's the thing though, these numbers include your house. So if you're 65 with $266,000 net worth and your house is worth $200,000, you've only got $66,000 in actual liquid assets, which brings us right back to that $300 per month retirement reality. The savings rate problem. Here's the number that explains why everyone's in such rough financial shape. Americans save about 6% of their income. 6%, that's it. It's like going to the gym once a month and wondering why you're not getting ripped. Now, 6% might not sound terrible at first. I mean, at least they're saving something, right? But think about what this really means. If you need to save for a car, average price $47,000, a house down payment, average $62,000, emergencies, and retirement, how much is actually making it into your long-term wealth building? Most financial experts say you should save 10 to 15% just for retirement, on top of everything else you're saving for. But the average person is only saving 6% total for everything. It's like trying to fill a swimming pool with a garden hose while someone else is draining it with a fire hose. You're technically adding water, but you're never getting ahead. The retirement age reality. Here's something that might surprise you. The average retirement age is 61. Sounds pretty good, right? Retire at 61, travel the world, finally read all those books you've been meaning to get to, maybe take up pottery or something. But here's the catch. You can't collect full Social Security until age 67. So you've got 6 years to bridge that gap with your, let me check my notes, $88,000 in retirement savings. And here's the really fun part. Someone who reaches 65 can expect to live another 20 plus years. So you might have 25 plus years of retirement to fund with basically no money. It's like planning a cross-country road trip with a half tank of gas and hoping you'll figure it out along the way. Why this should actually give you hope. Look, I know these numbers are pretty depressing, but here's why I'm sharing them with you. Once you know what average looks like, it becomes crystal clear how to do way better. And the crazy part? Doing better than average isn't that hard. Save more than 6% of your income. Even bumping it up to 10% puts you ahead of most people. It's like being the fastest runner in a race where everyone else is walking. Avoid credit card debt. You're instantly ahead of the game if you're not throwing away $1,800 per year on interest payments for stuff you don't even remember buying. Start investing early and consistently. Time is your biggest advantage, and most people waste it by waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. Live below your means. If the average household spends $67,000 per year and you can live comfortably on $55,000, you just freed up $12,000 annually for wealth building. Do that for a decade, and you're looking at serious money. The gap between what people say they want and what they actually do is massive. Everyone wants financial security and a comfortable retirement, but the average person's behavior doesn't match those goals. Maybe it's because they don't know what average actually looks like. Maybe they assume everyone else has it figured out. Or maybe they think it's too late to change course. Beat average by a little bit in multiple areas, and the compound effect over time becomes massive. Earn a bit more than $52,000. Save more than 6%. Avoid credit card debt. Invest consistently in low-cost index funds. Do that consistently, and you'll retire with way more than $88,000. The choice is yours. You can follow the crowd and end up average, or you can make some different choices and end up way ahead of the pack. These statistics show us where the average person ends up, but they don't have to define where you end up. You deserve better than working for 40 years to retire with $300 a month, carrying credit card debt, and hoping Social Security doesn't disappear. Personally, I know which one I'd choose. If this opens your eyes to where you really stand financially, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest breakdowns about money and wealth building. I'll see you in the next one.